Welcome to the Friday Game Night Pick'em Show semifinal edition with no goofy intro. Hello, everyone.
That was pretty goofy, though.
They cut our budget.
I tried to make it goofy.
They cut our budget after last week's intro.
The budget is dead. What's up, fellas? How you doing?
Doing good. How about you?
Just dandy.
Yeah.
It's great.
College Football Playoff Committee is in some hot water this morning.
And they very well should be.
How is South Carolina?
I thought somebody was going to jump in there.
Like, that's crazy.
Apparently not.
I mean, they did lose to both of the teams above
Something
them.
happened. Maybe it's my headphones.
Just
there it is.
one?
There, that's
Gotcha.
better.
Yeah,
that's better.
but like I've seen a pretty good argument. They've not lost to a team this year that has less than 8 wins.
Are we talking about Alabama?
No, I'm talking about South Carolina.
Oh, South Carolina.
South Carolina has not lost to a team this season that has less than 8 wins. Alabama's lost to 2.
I think what I would rather talk about is the fact that the committee chairman said that the conference championship games are not going to matter as far as it. If you're in the top 12, it's not going to hurt you. Did you see that?
Which means
I didn't catch that, but
it's on Twitter.
I did catch that nobody that doesn't play this week is going to jump anybody else that doesn't play this week. So Miami's out.
Because there's no data points.
Well,
it's all about the data points now,
here's
guys.
Here's the interesting thing about what you said is if they end up holding to that, and look, who knows? What they say doesn't actually mean anything. It just doesn't.
Except
they've
night.
proven that for a decade now.
Yeah, they can flip-flop.
So here's the thing that's interesting about that. Everybody's talking about Miami, Alabama. We already know the 2 teams playing in the SEC title game, the 2 teams playing in the Big Ten title game are in. We know the winner of the Big 12 title game is in. We know the loser of the Big 12 title game is out. Here's where it gets interesting. Obviously, SMU's good if they win, right? What happens if Clemson beats SMU? What happens to SMU? Because they're number 8 right now.
They're going nowhere.
You think they stay in?
They stay in.
Because that would, if that were to happen, that would knock Alabama out, even though currently they would be the last team in.
Simply by what the committee chairman said last night to Reese Davis on the playoff show, the fact that if you are in the playoffs currently and you are playing in a conference championship game and you lose, it is not going to it's not going to drop you out of the top 12. So SMU's in by what he said, even if they lose or win. So Georgia's in if they lose, So the other question, though.
But Georgia's ranked so high at this point that even if they were to lose.
Georgia's 5, so I didn't worry about them dropping to 13.
Yeah, there's no issue there.
So where does Oregon go if they lose? Does Oregon drop from number 1 using that same conversation from what the committee chairman said?
Well, I mean, Penn State would go to a minimum that they couldn't be the number 1 seed anymore because they're not a conference champion.
That's true.
So, I mean, how much does ranking really matter versus seeding?
That's
the thing.
At 3 this week. I know Texas was 2.
Yeah, Penn State was 3.
Yeah,
they
3.
put Penn State over Notre Dame.
4, Georgia 5.
So if Georgia were to beat Texas and Penn State somehow beats Oregon, I don't know how. I think Penn State would have to be the 1 seed, right?
That would be interesting.
I mean, you could make an argument for Texas, though. Well, you're saying if Georgia beat Texas, though.
If Georgia beat Texas,
yeah. Then Penn State's the 1 and Georgia's the 2. But does it really matter who's the 1 and who's the 2?
The question then becomes like, Georgia beat Texas twice. So does Georgia earn the 1 seed? And here's why I think it matters, because
the loss at Ole Miss is not looking great right now.
It's not. But the winner of that 8-9 game is probably going to be, we lost the feed for a second. There we go. The winner of the 8-9 game.
It's apparent that I did something wrong. My bad.
The winner of the 8-9 game might be more beat up than the winner of the 7-10 just based off of preliminary matchups. The Alabama game, I think they're in the 7-10 right now. I wouldn't want to play the winner of that one.
It's so chaotic right now that I have no clue who's winning this national championship. I mean,
that's what
honestly,
they wanted. I mean,
honestly,
really, truly.
I have no clue. Like, there's like 10 teams that I could make a realistic argument for, like, yeah, they can win the national title.
Well, I think
it might be more than that. It might be like all 12 teams that get in, honestly.
Well, Drew Butler on X a while ago. He posted something last night, and he's talking about Texas, Georgia. The committee's already said it doesn't matter if you lose this game. Do you lay down in the conference championship game? Because you could potentially face Texas again in the playoffs. So, do you? Do you care? If not necessarily lay down.
You want the bye.
But do you care?
You want the bye to get rested up.
I agree with that. Like, you want
the bye because you've played your 13th game. You don't want to play game 14 in 2 weeks. You'd rather it be 3 weeks.
If you're going to play Texas,
absolutely.
If you were going to play Texas a third time, you want it to be game 14, not game 15.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thinking on that was obviously you want that bye because if you win the SEC, you get that bye, most likely. I mean, Georgia's 5th, so they would be one of the top 4 teams, right?
I would think so.
Yeah. The other thing that I don't like about the playoff rankings is the fact that Boise State could potentially get a bye if things fall into place, but they're not ranked in the top 5.
Well, if they win, there's no going to. There's could. They're going to if they win the Mountain West title game.
So
you
have
to put something. You have to put some sort of incentive on a conference championship because, like Caleb said, like why would either of these teams want to play in the conference championship game if they're already in Texas and Georgia?
That's what I'm saying.
It might
literally. That's what I'm saying. Why play the conference championship?
We may. Well, in that case, you may honestly need to cut down the number of automatic first round bye bids. It may need to be 3 instead of 4 because what we're seeing right now is the 4th. There's going to be a huge gap between the 3rd highest ranked conference champ and the 4th highest ranked. Frankly, there's going to be a gap between the 2nd highest ranked and the 3rd. But I mean, you may need to do something like that because
or just expand to 16 and be done with it. And
yeah, exactly. It's chaotic. It's wild. There's so many different scenarios out there. I tell you one thing, nobody's talking about UNLV's 1 win away from the playoffs.
They're running Rebels.
UNLV's 1 win away from being in.
Yeah.
If they beat Boise, they're in.
To Boise State by like 21 the first time around, though. At UNLV, good luck in Boise.
Wasn't that? You might be right, but I thought that was like a 7-point game.
You know what's going to be?
We'll look that up while Bo sets up the high school.
You know what else is going to be chaotic and crazy, right? The 2 games that we have on our airwaves this week. I mean, you got Carrollton at Buford.
Semifinals. They're all going to be
chaotic.
They're
all chaotic. But
Boise beat UNLV 29-24 on October 25th.
Okay, so that's going to be a game.
Okay.
All right, but into the high school. LaGrange at Jefferson, Carrollton at Buford. Now, let's start with Carrollton at Buford. Julian Lewis, their quarterback, is injured. We've heard, has anybody confirmed or is any news out there that says he has a broken hand?
I haven't seen anything. I saw a report from somebody who was at the Carrollton Hillgrove game that said that he left the game in the second quarter. He was seen on the sideline in the second half with something resembling a cast on his throwing hand. That's the only substantive reporting that I've seen on it, really. I don't know that we're going to get anything more than that at this point. But obviously it's huge. I mean, it impacts every aspect of that game, and Carrollton's still really good without him. Right. But it's not having the number 1 quarterback in the country on the football field. And, when you're going into Buford's place, when Buford's playing at the level they are right now, I mean, that can make all the difference in the world.
I'm going to say as a head coach, you're obviously preparing for Julian Lewis. Coach App told Jeff earlier this week that he 100% believes that Julian Lewis is going to play in this game. Now, coaches want to believe that, and obviously you want to prepare for that. But, Walker, you also have to prepare for the backup quarterback who was pretty good last week in his absence.
Yeah, I mean, Carrollton still put up 46 points last week. Juju Lewis didn't play for 2.5 quarters of that game. So we know that they're really, really good, and Carrollton has scored on everybody. I mean, you look back at these Gainesville highlights from earlier in the year. Gainesville kept it close for a while, but then Carrollton ran away in the second half, and they did so by keeping a calm demeanor about them throughout the entire game. Gainesville kind of got in over their heads with emotions and stuff like that. And this is going to be an emotional game, guys. It's the last one in Tom Ryden Stadium, period, the end. Like, this is it. This is the final game at Tom Ryden Stadium. So there's going to be emotion there. It's for a spot in the bins. It's for Buford to try and get back to Atlanta for the first time in 3 or 4 years. Correct me on how long it's been. But for Carrollton, they're trying to get back. And if they're able to get past Buford, they're probably going to definitely have Juju Lewis, depending on what the extent of his injury is, in Atlanta. So they've got to feel good about their state title aspirations if they can get past Buford. Same for Buford. They're coming out of the toughest half of that 6A bracket, Caleb. And I just don't know about this one. To me, it's still a coin flip because Juju Lewis's availability or unavailability is big for me in terms of Carrollton's ability to be explosive down the field and try and test this Buford secondary that in this playoff run really hasn't had a whole lot of big tests yet.
Well, I'm going to tell you, we really haven't talked at all about what we saw last week, but I was at that Buford-North Gwinnett game that you're seeing on screen right now, and, Walker, we had talked about it, Buford getting back to being, doing what Buford does best and how they've been looking lately, and we've talked about it a lot. You and I have not had a chance to see Buford in person yet. I know we've watched them on TV a little bit. Going there, watching them in person, that looks like any of the great Buford teams that you've seen from the past. I mean, the way they're playing right now is as well as I've seen any Buford team playing at this point in a season. They are dominating on the line of scrimmage. North Gwinnett is really good on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. They've got guys on both sides that are going to be playing on Saturdays at the Power 4 level, and they kind of held their own for a half, and then Buford just whipped them in the second half on both sides of the football. They were able to create enough problems defensively. It's a totally different animal in Carrollton, but, man, it's really hard to pick against a team playing as well as Buford is playing right now. I don't care who they're playing. This is not the same Buford team that we saw last year that, yeah, they were getting to the state quarterfinals, and, yeah, they did this, that, and the other, but you could see flaws and things along the way that you knew eventually could be exploited. Like, they're playing their best ball right now. And it's getting harder and harder to find glaring weaknesses on that football team.
Yeah, it is. And you look at these numbers in the playoffs, and they're very similar. 104. Buford has outscored their opponents in the playoffs 142-23. Carrollton 141-26. So the two hottest teams in Class 6A, you can say that, and dominant. And we've talked about the dominance of Buford. You really have to go back to that Benedictine game when kind of the light switch flipped on for this Buford team. And they've been incredible since that game where they had to rally to the win at Tom Ryden. So Buford really showing off in the playoffs and throughout the rest of the season. Guys, do they get past Carrollton? Or if they get past Carrollton, is this the de facto state championship game in 6A?
Grayson on the other side is still a pretty big matchup. So I think this is definitely the biggest test. Yeah. Grayson's going to be a big test for whichever team gets through. Don't get me wrong, but I think this game is definitely the two best teams in 6A.
But do they beat each other up so much that Grayson has an easier time in the bins? That's the question. I go back to, I've said throughout, if Buford continues to win on the line of scrimmage, they're going to win the game. I still have a tiny question about their secondary because in this stretch run of the playoffs, nobody's really tried to go downfield. Carrollton's going to try and go downfield. So what does Buford secondary have to offer to try and slow down that aspect? Because we haven't seen them have to do that in the first three rounds of the 6A tournament.
Well, I will say I thought North Gwinnett tried a couple of times to push the ball downfield, mixed results. But to your point, they're not going to have seen the ball pushed downfield on them as much as Carrollton will try to do to them. And it will be interesting to see how those corners hold up. We've seen them make some big plays here in the postseason run, but this is definitely going to be the best passing attack they've played. To your question, Bo, about is this the state title game, I don't necessarily think so because of what Walker said. I think these two teams are probably better than Grayson, but I don't think it's by enough that you can say, oh, this is the state title game. Like Grayson might be the third best team in 6A, but they're close enough that it's going to be a real ball game in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And who knows, maybe Douglas County gets Grayson this week. But watching what Grayson did to Collins Hill team that we know was playing at a really high level, that's a Grayson team that's going to be a problem for sure.
Well, speaking of another great game on tap, LaGrange traveling to Jefferson again, two of the hottest teams in Class 3A. LaGrange might be, Walker, the hottest team. Malachi Fannin-Render, wow, what a performance he had. And one of the runs that he had against North Hall last week was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, he had 7 rushes for nearly 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's the real deal. Like, we kind of saw him come on the map against Lumpkin County. Of course, we don't keep up with LaGrange football during the regular season, so didn't know a lot about the Grangers. They don't put their stats online. Didn't know anything. Malachi Fannin-Render does what he does against Lumpkin County. Okay, Lumpkin, their front 7 had been kind of the question mark all year. Don't really write it off or anything, but whatever. Second round, they go on the road to Sandy Creek, a team that had beat them in the regular season. Fannin-Render runs for nearly 200 yards in that one. Okay, that's the key to stopping them. Well, he wasn't stopped at the Brickyard on Friday night, and that's going to be the key for Jefferson is nobody stopped Malachi Fannin-Render yet here in the playoffs. What can that front 7 do at Memorial Stadium to try and slow down the big play potential? Let him get his 6 or 7 yards. I know, Bo, you and I talked about this last week. Let him get his, but you got to stop everybody else, and you got to stop the big play. And North Hall couldn't do that. The question is, Caleb, can Jefferson stop the big play?
Well, this is where I kind of want to go to Bo a little bit because Bo's the only one here who saw the Jefferson-Cherokee Bluff game. And Seth was there too. Sorry, Seth, I forgot. Seth. You were there at that one also.
I'm just the ghost behind all the machinery here. I do not truly exist.
What about me?
So, well, you hadn't talked in so long that I forgot you were back there for a second.
You make me question my existence. As a matter of fact, here's some proof that I was there. We have footage.
Hey, there we go.
This is literal proof that I was indeed there.
Also, what a great transition.
Yeah, it was great. Good job.
Thanks.
Bo, I want to know kind of what happened in that Jefferson-Cherokee Bluff game because sitting at the Buford game, saw the scores coming in, obviously, and just seeing some of the highlights here. But obviously, we know that Jefferson defense just locked Cherokee Bluff down completely the first time they played. Second time they played, Cherokee Bluff had success on offense. What did you think changed there?
I got to go back to that first game, and when you see teams like this, and we've said it about the private schools, when Lumpkin played GAC, you worried about the name across the chest. I think really in that first game against Jefferson, perhaps that was a deal with Cherokee Bluff. It's like, oh, we're playing Jefferson, and Jefferson does have that kind of mystique about them when you're playing them because of their tradition and how well they have been for the last decade or two. I think the second time around, and Coach Jones said something in my interview last week about Jefferson's speed. The first time they saw it, it was kind of eye-opening, and now you see it again. You know some of their tendencies. You know exactly what you need to do, and you're playing for a chance in the semifinals. And really, this was a slugfest from the get-go, guys. Like, Jefferson would score, Bluff would score, back and forth, and then the punch came in the fourth quarter when Gavin Markey was real key in that entire game, obviously, and that offensive line. But I think really what happened to the game.
Shout out to our Gaining the Edge for our offensive
Edge.
line. Went and talked with some of those guys. Jefferson.
Bluff had success passing the ball downfield, so that concerns me a little bit with LaGrange if they do have a passing game, which they have somewhat of a passing game. Bluff had a lot of success there down the field. It's just late in the game. Jefferson just wore on Bluff and broke through with a pick, an interception. Brett Hemphill absolutely dominant on defense. So that's kind of what happened late in that game. But Bluff, got to give hats off to them, coming in and playing, punch for punch there for so long in that game. But as far as that goes, I think you look at the game, Bluff was ready. Jefferson was somewhat ready as well. But just a good Class 3A quarterfinal game, and that's pretty much the way I saw it kind of unfold. But, Walker, this defense is going to be challenged by Fannin-Render with his rushing attack. And we know Jefferson has a very good defense, especially the box of Jefferson is very good. The linebackers and the defensive line can get after it.
Well, and you brought up a good point. Bluff was able to throw the ball down the field and kind of test that secondary of Jefferson. Mm-hmm. All the attention is going to be on Fan and Render. So does LaGrange take advantage early and try and pop a couple big play action plays? Because all the attention is going to be on Malachi Fan and Render. That's a big question mark for me is, can Jefferson stop the big play and potential of Fan and Render while also keeping LaGrange in check in the passing game? I don't have any questions really about if Gavin Markey can get Jefferson to move the ball down the field, because LaGrange has shown that they can be scored on. I worry about the defense and the way that Malachi Fan and Render is playing right now, Caleb. If there was a tournament MVP, I don't care what the result is in this game, he would be my 3A tournament MVP right now based off of what he has done for the Grangers on the road in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs.
No doubt about it. And the thing of it is, when you talk about the strength of Jefferson's defense, so much of it is their size and their physicality on the interior. And that's really not who, and not saying Malachi Fan and Render can't do that, but he's a big playback. He wants to get out in open space, make you miss, and turn on the afterburners. And so the question is, can Jefferson keep him contained in the box and keep him from getting outside into open space? If he's able to get out on the perimeter, get out into one-on-one situations a lot, that's going to be real problematic, I think, for Jefferson. If they can keep this into a phone booth game, I know we talked about that last week with Buford, North Gwinnett. If they can make it that, I feel like that's a little more advantage Jefferson.
I would agree with you, Caleb, but Seth, can we go back to those North Hall LaGrange highlights? Because right as we switch to the Jefferson Bluff highlights, I don't know if you can rewind very easily, but this is the play that really gets me. That's Malachi Fan and Render running away into the end zone. This was off guard. This was right up the middle of the North Hall defense, and he ran 96 yards for a touchdown on that play. So the question mark becomes for me, yes, can this game be played in a phone booth, but also can they make the stops inside the tackles? Because Malachi Fan and Render has shown that he can do it outside tackle or inside tackle, Bo, and that's what's scary.
Well, I didn't see the Sandy Creek, Gabe. We know the first game that LaGrange played Sandy Creek, Render only had 4 carries in that game, but apparently he was injured through the next 3 or 4 games.
Here you go, Walker. I can't control playback.
So I haven't seen Sandy Creek and the size of their defensive front or how their defensive front plays. Also, you go back to the playoffs. This is going to be LaGrange's best defensive front and linebacking core that they have seen in the playoffs,
Agreed.
In my opinion. Now, I've not seen Sandy Creek, but I'm going to put Jefferson up there better than Sandy Creek on the defense. So I have a lot of confidence in this Jefferson defense, especially when you have Keelan Butler up front. He gets there. He's got wheels. He has a motor, and he's moving all the time. Max Brown, who leads the team, I believe, in tackles. Max Brown, right? Brother Sammy. He's starting to look like Sammy, guys. He's a sophomore. So you have him. You have Jaden Yang. You've got Rhett Hemphill, who is the driver of the linebacking core, by the way. So I feel pretty confident in this Jefferson defense against a running back like Render. Now, will they execute on Friday when it's 25 degrees? It was cold last week. I feel confident in Jefferson in this game. Their defense, by the way.
By the way, let's talk about the weather a little bit.
You think it was cold?
Sorry,
Really,
Mr. Sitting in a covered press box.
I tried to give him hot
I
hands.
had to buy gear. Like I bought gloves.
He bragged about those gloves all night,
they're really
too.
cool.
They were fingerless gloves.
Only these 3 fingers, because those are the ones I need to operate my camera.
He loved them.
So, that also presents a question, though. Does the weather impact these games? Especially, let's think about Carrollton for a second. Pass-heavy football team. Yeah. Trying to throw the ball in frigid conditions. We don't know what the wind is going to be like. It was whipping around at Tom Ryden for the North Gwinnett game. So does that favor the ground attack teams a little bit more? Which I know doesn't really impact Jefferson LaGrange because they both do that. But Buford Carrollton, could that maybe favor Buford a little bit?
Well, let me give you a forecast. Forecast right now is
Cold with a
Clear,
side of really cold.
Cold, low around 25, winds 5 to 10.
So wind, not really too much of a factor there.
Yeah. So, but still going to be cold. And I don't know. Does it
They're
affect?
practicing outside in the cold all week, though. So, like,
That's true.
I know it's going to be colder at 7:30 than it is at 3:45
hurt
when you take
worse.
the practice field. But
It'll hurt worse, right?
That first hit.
Don't you remember the stingers back in the
hurt a little bit worse?
Yeah. Well, this game again, I think it'll be a good game, but I feel like Jefferson's defense is going to take care of what Render does. But then again, here we are, semifinals, and people want to get to the championship, right? So everything is on the line, and this is your last heave-ho to get to the bend. So.
By the way, we know now, thankfully, weather not going to be a factor in the state title games because we're back indoors in the state title
I think they should open the roof. Hey, it's supposed to be 60 degrees on Sunday. We'll have to look at the 10-day forecast. It might be warm next.
You know that press box at Mercedes-Benz is open air now, so you're not going to be safely in the
It's open
warm.
air, and you're a lot closer to the roof than you are on the field.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, guys. We
Do you just want me like dead? Like, is that what you want?
You'd be warmer on
You
the
would be
field
warm,
than in
man.
the press
Really?
box.
Would I be warmer on the field than in the press box?
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
I mean, it's
That-
only a
that's
small hole in the top of
That's
the
for
roof.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium. For this week, we're going to have a Seth sickle on our hands.
Seth Sickle. I'm taking precautions.
It'll be warm at Jefferson. Seth, you'll be good.
I don't think that's true. I think it's gonna be very, very cold.
I tried to give you some 2022 hand warmers. last
Yeah,
week.
those things were out of date by several years. You pulled those out of my grandmother's cupboard, like, dude.
I actually pulled them out of the bottom of our closet. Anyway, let's move on to the rundown.
Same thing.
As we get to this week's picks, we've added some more games to the picks, obviously, because we only have 2 to pick in our area. So let's get to it. The pick order is – where is it? Pick order this week is Caleb, Seth.
Bo, and Walker.
There it is.
Going first.
There it is. And we're going to start at the top.
What's the playoff records right now? Do we have the standings
I do.
updated?
I have the standings. Walker took the lead this week with an 8-2 week.
In the playoffs or overall?
In the playoffs, 25-7. You and I are in second at 24-8. I was 7-3. You were 6-4 this week. Seth was 6-4 as well. He's 23-9. So there you have it. There are your standings, the playoff standings, and let's get to the picks. As we'll start with Coffee at Hughes.
That's a tough one to pick. Both of these teams have been really good. Give me Coffee on the road in this one.
For those wondering, I am now in the top right corner of Bo and Caleb's screen, and I will remain
Nobody
there.
was.
I know. I can just, Your hand disappears behind the pip screen,
We need
Caleb.
our music, too.
You kind of blend in, Seth.
Isn't this is our,
I
like,
just can't hear it on my end, so
How about that?
It may be playing. Yeah, there we go.
okay, I was about to say, it's playing.
It's your pick. Nice.
Sounds
delay.
like a Power Rangers
Nice
theme
delay
song.
there, Seth. Your pick. You're delaying your
Give
pick.
me Coffee.
Seth. Yeah, give me Hughes.
I'm going to take Coffee on the road, too. I
Why,
think this
why
is a
does
really
our
good
music
game,
sound
but,
like the intro of an anime? Like, please. This sounds like an
Hey,
anime
Coffee-
intro.
If
A
I
bad
want.
anime
sounds
at
like
that.
it would be really nice on the sidelines for Seth.
Yes,
So, give me
Coffee. Coffee. Remember the last time we talked about coffee?
We
What
did,
about it?
yes.
What about it?
About their colors?
It looked brown from
remember.
here. I don't know what else to tell you
That's
guys.
the way I like
Yeah.
my coffee.
It
Yeah.
looked brown from here. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, Caleb.
It's definitely
Lee
maroon.
County at Milton. Can we all just pick this one at once?
Dude, this is a good game. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. All right. Well, you pick Lee County then.
Just saying.
Well, you're picking first.
I mean, I'll go with Milton at home, but let's not act like this is not a highly competitive game. That Lee County team is really good.
Milton.
Give me Milton.
I didn't know LaMilton
think-
was a team.
I think this is the de facto 5A championship game.
Unless Coffee
I
can
take
just
Milton.
score 70 points every time they take the field and make
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, This could be a shootout. Winner of this one wins in the bins. I'm going to take Milton at home.
Creekside at Marist.
Toss-up game, I believe.
Yep.
Hard to pick against Creekside after what we saw last week. But it's also hard to take against Marist at home. Give me Marist in this one.
I'm going to go opposite you and give me Creekside.
Creekside.
I was about to say, do we lose the pick order again?
I thought might be the only one to pick Creekside. I'm going to pick Creekside and leave Caleb on his own.
BT at North Oconee.
Another good one. How many good games do we have this week? Like, there's not.
Lots.
I don't think there's.
I mean, it's the state semifinals.
I
what do you
understand
expect?
that, but sometimes you get a team that's just so dominant, and there's one where even though it's the semifinals, you're like, yeah, this team's gonna. roll.
Usually we have that team in our covered zone.
Man, North Oconee.
Yeah, same. North Oconee.
Yeah, give me the Titans. Remember the Titans.
They're both Titans.
They are both Titans. Yes, that's true. I'm trying to pull something up real quick because I saw this stat yesterday.
Remember the North Oconee Titans.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
North Oconee has won 28 straight at home and 12 straight at home in the playoffs. I don't think that it ends Friday. Give me North Oconee.
LaGrange at Jefferson.
Here we go.
All right.
Give me the Dragons at home in this one.
Yeah, Dragons.
I'm going with Markey to have another big night. The defense going to play lights out. Give me the Dragons.
Watching him play is really fun. Like, a fun thing that I noticed is that on the highlight reels, you saw like one of his last touchdowns. I think one of the last three. He points at the camera, interacts with me.
Makes you feel good, don't it?
Why do you do this to me?
I
don't like you. Like this. Why?
On a more serious note, I did like that.
Freaking goodbye, everybody. I'm out of here.
I did like that we saw Jefferson's offense go win a game for them in a game where their defense gave up some points.
Yep.
I think that was important to see, and you could need that again this week possibly.
You could.
And Jefferson's an 11-point favorite. That's a lot of points when we talk about dark horse dogs.
Dogs.
I take Jefferson in this one, but that's a lot of points.
The dogs. I will say, Seth, it is pretty cool when they point at the camera. Because they know we're there.
But the problem is that wasn't the point of my conversation.
So what was the point?
Was that originally when I first went to interview him and was talking with him a lot, he was a little bit, I dare say, nervous in front of the camera, and it's cool to see that evolution of him no longer being very nervous.
That was a good interview, by the way.
Thanks very
much. Go
much.
check it out, Gaining the Edge. It's on the site now, Friday Game Night
Gavin's
page.
always a pretty good interview these days.
Okay, Stevenson at Calhoun.
You know what? I like the way that Stevenson team is playing. Give me them on the road.
Sure. Let's do it. I'll double down on that.
Give me Calhoun at home.
Stevenson with a PH, by the way.
Isn't Calhoun the Yellow Jackets?
Yes.
Shout out to Cal Faulkner signing his national letter of intent today at Georgia Tech. And in honor of that, I will take the Yellow Jackets in this one.
Douglas County at Grayson.
Grayson.
This one I feel like we could have all picked at the same time.
Yeah,
Grayson.
that's probably the best one, yeah.
Carrollton at Buford.
Ooh, here we go. I'm going to take Buford at home, and I'll take Buford at home with Julian Lewis at 100%. I'm pretty confident in the way that team is playing right now.
That's the way to go
with him, if he doesn't play, then I'm really confident about it. But I would take Buford at home in this one. Just the way they're playing right now on both lines of scrimmage, if they can prevent Carrollton from just hitting a bunch of big plays early and getting up on them big early, where Buford can stay in their mode of play, I don't see anybody beating them, just to be honest right now.
Did y'all catch what was on their banner that they ran through in the highlights? For Gloryland.
I did not.
It said for Gloryland. I think that's pretty stinking cool. I'm going with Buford.
You got to think they're going to take Gloryland with them, though, right? No?
Yeah, Gloryland's going to new Buford Stadium.
It won't be the same.
And it will, but it's become kind of a nickname for the stadium too.
Yeah.
In a lot of respects.
Give me Buford.
What's the line on this game, by the way?
I don't.
It was
it
3.
Was less than 3, less than 4. Was it 3?
It was 3.
Okay.
It was either 3 or 2. Yeah. The Maxwell projected score was like 21-18 or something like that. They were thinking a low scoring game. I don't think that's the case. I think this is much higher scoring both ways with the secondary questions that I have for Buford, but I think Buford dominates in the trenches. Give me Buford 35-28.
Burke County at Rock Mart. Yeah,
Give me
come on.
Burke County. Burke County.
I'm going to go opposite and go Rockmart. Give me Rockmart at home.
This game was a toss-up, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah, give me Rockmart in this game at home.
It's a really long road trip from Burke County to Rockmart, if memory serves. Northwest Georgia. I think Burke County's southeast, question mark?
East Georgia, not
sure,
that
we'll
far
go with that.
south, but yeah, East Georgia for
Just
sure.
stick with far.
They're
Yeah,
south of
far.
Augusta.
Stick with really far away.
Rockmart wins this one.
Appling County at, I'm sorry.
No, I dropped my phone. You're good. Keep going.
Appling County at Carver, Columbus.
Carver.
Yeah, give me Carver.
Yeah, Carver.
Fitzgerald at Northeast.
Who knows anything about this game?
Northeast. Sure. Why not?
Sure, let's do that. Northeast.
Let's go with Fitzgerald.
We're getting pretty deep down the rabbit hole here. How many
Well,
games do we have?
I just picked all the semis.
Fitzgerald is a hurricane as well, right? That's like one of
Yes.
18 hurricanes in Georgia.
Are they like
they're-
the red hurricanes or what?
I
brown
think they're
hurricanes?
purple too, but I don't think
I'm
they're
pretty
the purple
sure that-
hurricanes. But I think they're colors
Gerald,
purple.
Monroe area, Cartersville.
Anybody been to Fitzgerald?
Any that I'm forgetting?
I thought you went there one year.
I did. It wasn't for us, but I've been there.
Oh, Monticello, which now they go by
Yeah,
Jasper County, but
by
Monticello.
Jasper County Comprehensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Fitzgerald.
Toombs at Dublin.
Long
And that's
road trip.
spelled with 2 O's.
I'm not picking against
For
that
those that
Toombs
didn't
County
know.
team.
Me neither.
They're too potent on offense. So give me Toombs.
2 with 2 O's.
Yes.
Um,
Toombs.
so I'll go with that for the pun, if nothing else. Speak, Bo.
Give me Dublin. Aren't they the Irish?
Yeah, fighting Irish.
The Irish, the fighting
Shamrock,
Irish.
the Shamrock Bowl is
Give
what
me
they call the
Dublin.
stadium.
I'll take Dublin.
Shout out to Bill Leroy, catcher for the Savannah Bananas, former North Georgia Nighthawk. I'm picking against his high school, though. Give me Toombs County.
Very nice.
Giving shout outs. All right, let's get to the
Dark Horse Dogs. Dark Horse Dog. Dark Horse Dog. Dark Horse Dogs.
Word is horse.
Dogs.
Word is horse.
just play it
I have-
just one more time.
Dark Horse Dogs.
And just keep rewinding it back and forth right
Dark
there.
Horse.
That-
Dark
come on.
Dark
Come on.
Dark
Come on. Come on.
Dark
Come on.
Horse. Dark Horse Dog.
All right, that's a wrap for the show, folks.
Listen, all the crap you guys put me through, I've got to have something. Like, I have to have something.
All right, so the dogs pick this week order is Walker, myself, Seth, and Caleb.
Oh, great. I get to pick first in the picks and last in the Dark Horse
Beautiful.
Dogs.
Fantastic.
So here's who we have. We have
last in the pick.
Oh, how many games do we have to pick
we
between
have
both?
5 games.
Oh, awesome.
So let me
Fantastic.
let me toss these out.
Wonderful.
Hughes is a 10-point favorite over Coffee. Grayson is a 4-point favorite over Douglas. Jefferson an 11-point favorite over LaGrange. Calhoun is a 7-point favorite over Stevenson, and Carver is a 7-point favorite over
I
Appling.
mean, you really could have put like 3 or 4 more on there.
Well, that's all
it
we
would have
had.
taken no, it wasn't all you had. You
Well,
could
yeah,
have taken-
seriously, it was. The rest of them
Seems
were
like
toss-ups
Caleb is
or
a
less
touch
than
salty.
The
4.
rest of them
right
were
now.
like 1,
Yeah,
2
1,
points.
2. Yeah.
Caleb seems
Now
a
we
touch
didn't
salty.
have Division 2. Sorry, we didn't have those games. But this is pretty much All of them.
Or private. We didn't
Or
have the
private.
private
We didn't
as
have
well.
privates either. Okay, so have at it, Walker.
I said
scroll
LaGrange,
Twitter.
11 points is a lot of points, especially with how I think this game is a lower scoring game with both teams trying to run the football. I think Jefferson wins the game. I think LaGrange covers the 11, so I'm going to try and just get some more points here. I'm going to take LaGrange plus 11.
I will take Stevenson.
Wait, it says LaGrange minus 11.
Well, the winner
Jefferson-
is the winner's
Jefferson
on the
is the-
left.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Just because of how it was formatted in daily
Okay.
this week.
All right.
And how I've kind of gotten used to seeing it formatted. Give me Stevenson plus 7.
That me now?
That'd be correct.
Yes. There's one more obvious game that I'm
yeah.
shocked.
Yeah, Douglas plus 4.
That wasn't it.
I think that's
we
closer.
We left the maroon beverage on the board.
Go
for
ahead
you.
and take your favorite, the way you like your coffee. Go ahead.
Awesome. Sure. Coffee plus 10 at
You
use.
dropped your
Now I
phone.
don't even have my phone
You
to scroll
picked-
Twitter
you
anymore.
picked coffee to win.
I
so,
did, yeah.
mean, that's-
Coffee plus 10 against use.
So hopefully you'll have the way you like your coffee on Friday night.
All right.
It's going to be an Irish coffee.
Roll our
after this.
music. Let's get out of
yeah,
here.
all right.
All right, we have another abbreviated tailgate this week with a couple coaches' interviews, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll be on at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, sure. 5:50 is Carrollton and Buford. 102.9 is, you got it, you guessed it, it is correct, LaGrange at Jefferson. And no scoreboard after the show, but you can follow us on X all night long on Friday night to get real-time scores and updates on that. And then go to the website, accesswdun.com's Friday game night page for stories, highlights, and much, much more as we hopefully will have 2 teams in the bins next week, folks. Yeah.
Also, as
Week and
a-
half.
2
Week
weeks.
and a
2
half.
weeks.
Applaud
Week and a half,
to
2
you
weeks.
guys, the hosts of our show. This is the fastest show I think you've ever done.
Well, it's the least content that we've had, really. So there you have it, folks. Hey, for
Hey, we
the
finished the Lanierland magazine.
that's right, Lanier Land. Woohoo!
Lanierland Pick'em Show coming soon.
It's coming soon. Coming soon. We're gonna make the picks. All right, guys, enjoy the semifinals of the GHSA playoffs. Bye-bye. I forgot to salute. We still live.
oh, yeah.
You.
Most assuredly.
Here we are.
Yeah.
The governor.